Invite up here. He is my mentor and just an incredible human being. I know a lot of you know Hector and hear him speak and all that kind of stuff, but I just got to let you know that when he gets up here, everything that's coming out of this guy's mouth is from his heart. And I believe this guy is one of the great human beings in America. I believe that Oprah Winfrey should have him on her show. No, really, I really, and I think that he is one of the great Americans today. He's just a phenomenal human being, and I just want to welcome the awesome Hector LaMarque.
Those guys do a great job. Catching these guys at their prime right now. They're totally on it, doing all the right things. Just really exciting. Kevin.
Right here.
Kevin. Hey, Kevin.
There he is.
I'm going to give you an update right now. Kind of what's happening. You probably heard this already, but I'll go over it again. The company just had a record. I had a long conversation with John Addison the other day on the telephone, talked about an hour about kind of where we're at, where we're headed. Very, very exciting. Very exciting. Records across the board. 28,420 recruits last month. That is the previous record was 19,000. So the company just obliterated that. I mean, that's giant growth right there. Which is very, very exciting. First quarter of 1988 was the biggest quarter we had ever had in our company's history. It was 45,320 recruits. In the first quarter of this year, 2001, it's 53,319 recruits. So we just also left the first quarter biggest ever. That's very, very exciting. And then life licenses. Biggest since 1990, 4,042 new licensed agents, which is really, that's the real number to be paying attention to. You get X number of recruits. How many you get licensed is critically important, because you can't, if they're not licensed, they can't write business, they can't build a business. So you got to get people licensed. When I was at the peak of my career, I was licensing something like 60 to 65% of everybody I recruited who got licensed. And the numbers aren't quite there today, but those are numbers we want to be shooting for, getting everybody licensed. New life apps, largest since October 95, 35,388 new life apps. Life insurance in March of 2001 was $6.6 billion of face amount written in March, which is a 26% increase over just a year ago. Smart loans, $416.5 billion in loans booked. That's huge. Billion, not million, billion. 86% increase over March of last year. That's gigantic. And smart apps, 27,000 apps were submitted, 95% up from last year. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, you're looking at Primerica, you're involved in Primerica at the best time ever. I mean, it just is the best time ever. And I pull up our numbers. I was going to share Kevin's numbers. Kevin did $59,000 in premium, which is, I think, your best month ever, I'd imagine, right? Yeah, these aren't completed, by the way, but so far, that's still got to be your best ever. 26 recruits, $276,000 in securities volume, and $755,000 in loan volume, and $21,800 in income. And of course, that's not completed yet, so I don't know what that's going to end up being, but these are the numbers through today. And then in my organization, our submitted premium is $2,964,350. That's almost $3 million in premium. So you guys are fighting to do 2 and 5,000, and 10,000 or 20,000. Almost $3 million. And I remember when I just was starting, and I was trying to. I remember when I was just going, oh man, if I could just do 10,000, I'd be so excited. If I could just get somebody to go full time, I mean, that would be just unbelievable, And then, if I could just produce an RVP, that would just be phenomenal. I remember I used to write all my numbers down in a columnar book. I always kept a columnar book, so I'd put the the client's name and how the face amount and all that stuff for life insurance, and then who wrote the app, if it was a split sale. I kept track of every sale, and there's 32 lines in a column in our book, and I just would just dream of the day I could fill up one page in a month. It was just a big deal. I don't know how many sales we did last month, but I would imagine, for every 1,000, that'd be, I don't know, we probably did about 35 to 4,000 sales last month, something like that. So, it just keeps growing if you keep growing. If you keep getting better, it keeps getting better. That's the one lesson I've learned over the years. We had 1,937 recruits, and of course these numbers aren't completed yet, so we're going to go over 2,000 recruits last month, right? And then security volume was 15,192,000, and our loan volume was $35 million in loans we did last month alone. I was talking to Jan on the phone, and in loan income, I think we're probably going to end up making, I'd say, somewhere between $35,000 and $40,000 just in the loan part of our business, and probably around the same amount in security. So it looks like this year we'll make over $1 million just in securities and loan volume alone, which is very exciting. So you're looking, well, that's nice for you, Hector. What about me, What about me? How did I fit in and all that? Well, the reason that's exciting is because I was where you are. I was exactly where you are. And I don't know if anybody had a chance, I sent a voicemail message out, and I'll start with this because I think this is really appropriate to kind of set the tone of the meeting today. I just read a book called The Terrible Truth About Liberals. And I don't know if you're liberal or not, but it's one of the best books I've ever read. It was phenomenal, okay? Really, really great book. And not so much that it's bashing liberals, because that's not really the issue. The issue is that the one thing that's really critical is, a lot of people think that the reason the country's great is because we have a great government. The reason the country's great is because we have freedom in this government, in this country. That's the reason America is great, is the freedom aspect. That's what made us great, freedom. It's not government programs, it's freedom. It's that someone like me that has a father who immigrated from Mexico, that came to this country with a third grade education, had 7 children. I lived in a house with 1,000 square foot home with 9 people in it. That's how I grew up. I didn't grow up with money. I didn't grow up with any examples of success. No one in my family ever went to college. No one in my family ever owned a business. I didn't have one person that I could look up to say, I want to be like them. Hey, uncle, could you show me what to do? No one, okay? So how does somebody like me, that doesn't have any kind of exposure to anything like what I'm doing today, go from that environment where my family was just excited if you graduated from high school, got a high school diploma, they throw a big old party if you got a high school diploma. It was a big deal. College, nobody even talked about going to college. My parents didn't even talk to me about that. I have 6 brothers and sisters. I'm the only one that went to college. None of my brothers and sisters went to college, right? Because my parents never spoke about that, right? They just wanted us to stay out of trouble and be good people, but no one talked about being really successful. So how does somebody like me, right, do this? Go to build a business like this, to making, my income last month when it's said and done, is going to be over $300,000. Last month I made over $300,000. Okay. He would be pumped about making that in 2 years, right? And last month I made over $300,000. Now, how does someone like me do that? Okay. Well, because I changed the way I thought, which is the first most important thing. Most of you, the reason why you are where you are is because of the way you think about yourself, the way you think about your ability, the way you think about what you can do or can't do, the way you think about everything is totally the number one reason why you are where you are. Okay? So if you want to change your life, you must change the way you think about your life and about life. If you don't change that, if you don't work on that, okay, if you take what you've grown up with, right, unless you grew up in a very successful family with very success-oriented kind of a parents, right, where do you learn this stuff, right? I didn't have that. You know that, right? So where do I learn that? Books. That's where I learned it. Books, tapes, seminars, tapes, talking to people who are successful, finding out what they did, and then changing my behavior from what it was, and changing my thoughts about life from what it was to what theirs was, okay? Because the one thing I found out is successful people, the only difference between them and you is they think differently than you. They're not smarter than you. They're not more talented than you. They're not special. That's not what it is, okay? It's what they think about. So if you keep reading what you've been reading, right? If you keep on doing what you've been doing, you're not going to change, and that's the whole key. But the real key is that I never, ever in my life blamed anybody for any part of the way my life was turning out, had turned out, or was going to turn out. Okay? Never. I've always, even when I was young, always took 100% responsibility for my situation. I never said if my parents had money, it would be different. If I wasn't Mexican, it would be different. If I didn't grow up on the wrong side of the tracks, it'd be different. If this country wasn't racist, it'd be different. I never used any of that stuff because that's a cop-out, okay? It's a total cop-out for you not wanting to change yourself and improve yourself and make yourself valuable in our society. See, if you want to be successful, you've got to make yourself valuable. You've got to make yourself, and put yourself in a position where people want and need you because you have something, some skill, some knowledge, some ability that people are willing to pay money for, right? If you don't work on yourself, if you don't improve yourself, why does somebody want to pay for your time or offer you compensation in exchange for information, right? See, in our business, you're getting compensation in exchange for information and help to implement the information that you give people, right? That's all it is, right? You know it. You know stuff about mutual funds or about eliminating debt or about how insurance works or about planning for the future. You all have access to that information that the majority of Americans, they have access to it, but they don't avail themselves to it. So if you go avail yourself of the information, you master it, you perfect it, you become an expert at how to do it, and you say, hey, I can help you, right? If I help you, will you pay me? That's all it is, right? If the reason attorneys have the potential to make big income or doctors because they went to school for years and years to learn how to, if there's medicine, how to heal you. If it's an attorney, how to weave through the legal process, right, in a way that's efficient that you maybe don't know how to do. So we're willing to pay an attorney money in exchange for their experience. Do you know that you can represent yourself? Do you know that you can go to the library and do your own research if you had some issue, a legal issue, and defend yourself or represent yourself? But you don't want to take the time to do that, so you pay an attorney money to do it for you, right? I mean, you can learn all about medicine too if you wanted to, and maybe even medicate yourself. A lot of people do that anyways, but you can do all that if you're willing to take the time for it. But that's why it's important. If you want to be great at our business, right? If I'm coming into Primerica and I'm new, like most of you are, relatively new, my number one priority would be to become an expert at everything. And I wouldn't wait for my upline to feed me the information. I wouldn't wait for somebody to say, here, do this, do that. I would go aggressively go get the information myself, on my own time, after work, 12 o'clock midnight, 7, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd be looking up this information, finding out how to do everything, so that when I got in front of a potential client or potential recruit, they go, hey, you're sharp, you got a lot of value. I want to do business with you. I want to join you. I want to be involved with you. You obviously know what the heck you're doing. Am I making any sense here? See, and all of you can do that. The challenge is most of you won't do that. You're going to wait for me to teach it to you, or your upline to teach it to you, or for it to happen to you, right? Well, that's what. See, you're never going to be great until you develop initiative. That you go do it yourself, and you don't wait for somebody to spoon feed you. That doesn't mean you shouldn't come to me or somebody like me for information, for help. But you need to be the aggressor. You need to be assertive. You can't say, well, when I'm doing better, then I'll ask. That's stupid, okay? That's really stupid. Those of you that are going, I'm not doing well enough, so I don't deserve your help. You're an idiot, okay? Those of you that think like that. You should be going, hey, Kevin, how do I do this? How do I go from where I'm at to making $20,000 or $30,000 a month like you and Mary are making? What do I need to do? How do I do it? What do I do next? What did you do in the beginning? Okay, then what? Then what? What next? See, I'd be asking him every minute I could get from him, how do I do it? What do I need to do? I wouldn't wait for him to come to me or call me. That's what losers do.
Losers are waiting for Ed McCann to show up at their house with the check, right? Right? Losers are waiting for somebody to come to them. You can't be a loser. You need a winner. Winners go after it. Winners don't wait for it to happen. They make it happen. That's the difference, okay? So I was reading this book. I took it. I was listening to something, and I heard about it. I said, well, I got to get that. And I'm a very conservative person. I mean, I know if you're liberal, and I don't want to offend you, but I just think that if you're liberal, you just don't understand yet, you know. Because if you use your common sense, you couldn't be a liberal if you had any common sense. I mean, probably offending a lot of you now. It's okay, but I mean, to think about it, I grew up in a liberal family, right? You think, I mean, if I come from an ethnic Mexican-American family, all Democrats, all liberal, all thinking the government should do more, all that, right? That's how I grew up. That's all I saw. But when I started building my own business and doing all the stuff on my own, and I started seeing what the government does and how they don't really even help you and how it's up to you, and I started building a business from scratch with no help from the government. I went to college. The government didn't help me. I borrowed money. I paid my own way. Nobody helped me. My parents didn't even really help me that much. All they could afford to do was pay for my books. That's all they did from when I went to college. They helped me pay for books, but I paid for everything else myself, right? So I had to work. It took me years to pay off the loans after I graduated from school, right? So I didn't get any help from anyone. When I started building my business, I didn't see the government helping me build my business, right? Has the government helped you build your business? No, didn't help me. I'm doing it. I'm the one that made all the calls. I'm the one that got rejected 1,000 times. I'm the one that had all the dark houses. I'm the one that invited 10 people to the op meeting and no one showed up, right? I'm the one that got the call, with the chargeback saying I don't want it after all. I'm the one that had all the people quit on me. I'm the one that went through all that crap, right? I'm the one that signed the lease on all the offices that I opened and put my butt on the line, right, and had to commit to that. I'm the one that bought all the computer equipment and all that stuff, right? I'm the one that did all that. The government didn't have anything to do with that. So I figured out, you know what? I don't really need the government. As long as they keep the Chinese away from me, right? They make it safe for me to operate, right? Then get the hell out of my way. That's the way I feel, right? That's my take on things. And you might say, well, you're not very compassionate. Hey, look. I'm very compassionate, okay? I give a lot of money away, right? I do a lot of stuff. You're better off. Let me just tell you something. Did you know? Hey, did you know that, the Social Security situation? Did you know how nasty that Social Security situation is for Americans? How pathetic it is? How they're not telling you anything about it? Listen, let me just tell you. In Galveston, Texas, the employees of Galveston, Texas, they opted out of the Social Security system. Okay? They had an opportunity. They opted out. Did you know, like the school teachers in California, they don't pay Social Security, right? Okay? They don't pay it. And did you know that federal employees do not pay into Social Security? Because see, all of the politicians, they're pretty smart. They know it sucks, so they don't want to be any part of it either. Okay? So Galveston, this is exactly why you need to take care of yourself. And that's what they did is they opted out. An employee making $20,000 a year, but the 13.5% that they normally would pay into Social Security, they have to pay into their own private account. And it's only paying like 6.5%. If you make $20,000 a year, when you retire, if you retired on Social Security, you get $790 a month. If you retire on the Galveston program, which they opted out and did their own thing, you get $2,700 a month. Okay, at 6%, which we know is pathetic, right? If you make $50,000 a year, if you retire making $50,000 a year, you get $1,700 and some odd dollars a month from Social Security. But if you're part of Galveston's retirement program, you get $6,800 a month, which is more than you made while you were working. Great government programs. Okay. So what I'm talking to you about is most people don't think about that, and you need to take care of yourself. You can't count on anybody else. You got to count on you. Okay, you're it. Don't you be. Hey, you're going to be sadly disappointed if you wait for somebody else to take care of you. Okay, including your upline in Primerica. Okay, you need to take the initiative. So this part he was writing, he says, first, it bothers liberals because they don't like the idea that people are in any way responsible for their lot in life. Liberals believe that people are either lucky or unlucky, and that it is government that must compensate for the fickle finger of fate. If you convince people that they, not government, are actually responsible for their fate, the role of government becomes less important. This would make big government liberals very unhappy indeed. The statement also brings howls of pain from life's losers. Imagine, the reason I wanted to read this is because this reminded me of all those people in Primerica that have come through the front door and didn't make it, and they blame it on the upline, they blame it on the company, they blame it on everything, right? But it's not that. There's some of you that are going to not make it here because you're lazy and you don't want to do the work, right? And then you're going to say, it don't work, Kevin didn't do what he said he was going to do, it's a pile of it, it's not real, right? You're going to say that. But after you hear this, you hope you remember what I'm saying right here, okay? The statement also brings howls of pain from life's losers. Imagine that you're 40 years old and still renting an apartment. You have a 6-year-old car that isn't paid for, not one penny in a savings account, no retirement plan. You're starting your 14th job next Monday, and you're getting a bit weary of seeing your face on the deadbeat dad's public service announcement on television. Along comes some right-wing reactionary, that would be me, a clown saying you are in that position because of the choices you have made during your life. How dare you say that it's because of me, right? Like hell, it's not your fault that you can't keep a job. All those people you were working for were just unreasonable in their demands. You couldn't control the traffic that made you late so many times, and it certainly wasn't your fault that your car kept breaking down, lousy American cars. Savings, retirement, how in the world can you save anything? What? With the price of a six-pack and all, those greedy businessmen just won't pay you enough to allow you to save. And what about that child support? The judge knew that you couldn't afford to pay that much money in child support. You have to live too. Sure, you could have sent her something every month and she might have been satisfied, but she's just trying to ruin your life and you aren't going to fall for that again. Those people out there with their own homes and their good jobs and fancy cars, they were just lucky. They got all the breaks. Nobody out there even wants to give you a chance. Our whining little friends just can't or won't see reality. Obviously, he isn't educated well enough or doesn't have the job skills to get a good, high-paying job. If you could rewind a tape of his life and watch it and fast forward, you would see him making choice after choice that led to his failure to acquire an education. The choice to clown around in class rather than pay attention. The choice to watch television rather than do homework. The choice to play touch football with other kids rather than study for that test. The grand overview will show that he chose not to become educated. The poor choices kept mounting up. The choice not to leave home earlier so the traffic wouldn't make him late for work. The choice to spend money on a fishing trip instead of keeping his car in running condition. The choice to leave work early for a beer with the guys instead of staying a bit longer to wrap up some loose ends. The choice to turn down the after-hours training program that could have given him more job skills or the Primerica opportunity. And who can imagine the choices he made that got him into his child support trouble? At the head of the list might be the choice to have children that he and his wife could not yet afford to raise. This led to financial hardships in the marriage, the number one cause of divorce, by the way, and finally to his deadbeat dad picture on television. So why does our sad friend get so outraged when I come yammering along with my admonition that his own choices put him where he is? Simple. It's because he is being told that he is responsible for what has happened to him. Him, not his boss, not his teachers, not his wife, not the children, not the judge, but him. If you haven't noticed it, you soon will. People will do anything, say anything, believe anything to escape accepting responsibility for their own lives. You notice that yet?
Yeah.
One of the greatest signs of maturity in any individual are the words, "It's my fault, I'm responsible, I made some really stupid decisions, but I'm not going to let it happen again." If you ever hear someone utter those words, hire him. Once you get about 10 of them around you, you can own the world. You can own the world. Don't wait until it's too late to recognize the importance of good decision making. Human beings are the only creatures who have the ability to analyze several complicated courses of action and then choose the one that they think will best move them toward their goal. That's your gift. Don't waste it. That's your gift. Don't waste it. See, there's a lot of people that think that God controls everything. Well, God ultimately is in charge, of course, but here on earth, He gives you choice. He lets you decide your lot in life. He lets you decide whether to take advantage of the opportunity, to say yes to opportunity or no to it, to say yes to work or say no to it, to say yes to being responsible or no to it. He gives you that choice. You get to choose that. He doesn't come and choose it for you, right? You choose it. If you make the right choices, revel in them, celebrate your success. If you make poor choices, accept responsibility for them. Remember, there are always more choices to make, and the right ones will move you further toward your own idea of happiness. Look, you don't have to make all perfect choices. You just have to make enough good choices, right? And you need to analyze constantly, hourly, every 15 minutes, every minute, what are you doing? Every single thing you're doing, every single thing you're thinking is a choice, and that choice is either leading you towards where you want to be or away from where you want to be. Every choice. Should I read this book or should I watch TV? Should I listen to this tape or should I listen to the radio? Should I make the call, try to set up the appointment, or should I wait till tomorrow? Should I follow up or should I give them more time? Should I go and approach those people, or should I assume that they're not interested? See, your success in Primerica right now is all those little choices you've been making, right? If it's not going well, guaranteed, you're not making a lot of good ones every day. Okay? If it's going great, like it is for Daniel, guaranteed he's making tons of good choices every day. He's not a genius. Maybe a genius at making good choices, but genius, no. Did you graduate from college? Did you go to college?
No.
No college. Right? Well, that ain't it. Right? Some of you are real smart. Some of you are real educated. You know what that buys you? 50 cents a cup of coffee. It's important, but it ain't that important. The choices you make are more important, folks. Now, and when those liberals tell you that you're just a victim of a poor economy, or that you're being oppressed by, look at, is the economy seem to be bad right now? If you look at the newspapers, watch Fox News Network, right? The China thing, the markets in a total dump, right? I mean, unemployment just hit the highest it's been in I don't know how long. 81 or 87,000 people lost their job last month. So far this year, something like 300 or 300,000 people have lost their jobs. I don't know. It's right. If you looked at that, but my business is exploding. My business, I just had a record month, right? So if I listen to those people, I'd be depressed, right? Well, I'm not depressed. Not one bit depressed. Totally jacked up. Because you know why? Because the choices I make are creating that business. I don't have to go with the pack, the masses. You don't have to be like all of them. You can choose to be different. Isn't that something? Isn't that exciting? Right? That you get to decide. The problem is some of you will still want to blame somebody else. Your wife, your husband, your parents, your whatever, okay? And every time you catch yourself blaming something outside yourself, catch yourself. Stop. Say, stop. It's me. It's up to me. I got to make some changes. I got to improve. I got to grow. You don't ever do that anymore. From this day forward, let's make a commitment that we're never going to blame anything outside of us for our situation and our place in life. That we're going to take responsibility. When you start doing that consistently, you're going to watch your life take off, baby. It's going to be exciting, exciting, exciting. Okay? That you're being oppressed by an unfriendly marketplace. Try to remember their motivation. They want to take care of you. They can't do that if you learn to take care of yourself. Right? The less fortunate. And I want some of you starting to do well, right? I mean, you're doing well. You're doing well right now, right? Danny's doing well. You might be thinking, I'm so lucky. I'm so fortunate. That's bull. You're not lucky. You're not fortunate. It has nothing to do with being lucky and fortunate. Being successful has nothing to do with being lucky and fortunate. Nothing. It has everything to do with your choices. Okay? I'm not lucky. I'm not fortunate. Right? I saw an opportunity along with a bunch of other people. I availed myself of it. I worked on myself. I mastered it. Right? I did a bunch of work and I had success. That's not luck. That isn't luck. People that say you're lucky, they say that because then it gives them an excuse to not do the work. See, they think if you attach lucky to it, then that means they don't have to do any work. Then they have a reason for why they're not doing well. It has nothing to do with luck. One of the principal joys of doing a talk show is having the daily opportunity to argue with liberals. He says, you just can't believe how entertaining it can be to engage in verbal combat with people who are totally void of facts and unable to function on any logical level whatsoever. The phrase, the less fortunate, that's one of the things, right? The less fortunate. They talk about the less fortunate. When you see somebody that's, struggling, right? You go into an area where, it's public housing, the less fortunate, right? When the media types describe the urban outdoorsman, he calls the homeless urban outdoorsman. Winos, drug addicts, high school dropouts, and various other losers are as less fortunate. They're implying that those of us who managed to escape this lifestyle and who actually became productive citizens did so because we were simply more fortunate. You guys consider yourself more fortunate? In other words, we were just flat lucky. Robert Reich, Clinton's former Secretary of Labor, one of the most liberal advisors, like to refer to the top 20% of income earned in the United States as a fortunate fifth. Bring out those dictionaries. My Webster defines fortunate as deriving good from an unexpected source. That's the key. Deriving good from an unexpected source. Think about this for a moment. Is there anything unexpected about deriving good from hard work? Is there anything unexpected about deriving good from living free of illegal drugs with only moderate consumption of alcohol? Is there anything unexpected about deriving good from staying in school, not getting credit, developing marketable skills, and getting a job? Is there anything unexpected about that? Hardly. Fortunate or luck has little to do with it. Luck, they say, is nothing less than the opportunity met by preparation. If you work hard, take advantage of opportunities you have living in America, and keep your nose clean, then you will succeed. And it won't be because you were fortunate or lucky. It will be because you made smart choices and worked hard. See what the poor can say. What about the poor? Can we say that their situation in life is unexpected? Are they really victims of poor fortune? Hardly. There's nothing unexpected about failing to find a good job if you can't read or communicate the English language. There's nothing unexpected about not being able to put food on your child's table if you have that child at the age of 17 or 18 without any means of supporting them. There's nothing unexpected about not being able to hold on to a good job if you can't bring your lazy rear end to work each and every day at the proper time, and if you don't have enough character to do what is expected of you, if not more in return for your paycheck. There's nothing unexpected about not being able to hold a job and earn a living if you make the choice to screw up your mind through the use of illegal drugs or alcohol. And that is a choice, by the way. Nobody shoves that stuff down your throat. You have to say yes to that. You have to choose it. Okay? And it's a choice, at least initially. Barring mental or physical disaster, poverty is not a matter of luck. It is not a matter of fortune. It is the predictable result of poor decision-making, irresponsibility, and laziness. The poor are not less fortunate. They are instead the more irresponsible. They put themselves there and they drag their children into that status with them. They are the less prepared, the less diligent, the less able. They weren't unlucky. They did it to themselves. How do you, some of you might, well, you're just so cruel, Hector. That is not true. Not true. Think about it. Think about it. Is there any excuse not to do well in this country if you will sacrifice? Huh? None. None. If you're willing to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, go to school at night, you can do all that. Is that hard? Yes. Is it sacrifice? Yes. But can you do it? Yes. It's a choice. How do we then account for the popularity of the less fortunate phrase when referring to people who are more often than not have done nothing less than completely squander the American birthright? Here's a log. Please observe the workings of the lower mind. Imagine if you're a modern big government liberal. You believe that America is great of its government, not because of its people. You want more government programs, more spending. You're just bringing over compassion to the less fortunate. You feel their pain. You're such a good, wonderful person. One of the things you as a liberal really like about government is that it has the power to use its legal monopoly on the use of force to level the playing field, so to speak, and by redistributing income. You believe wholeheartedly in taking from the rich and giving to the poor. It is not enough that you strive for opportunity. The true goal must be equality results in a nice, well-ordered, egalitarian society. Now, if your goal is to take money away from people who worked hard and earned it, and then give it to that money to people who did not earn it, you're going to need a convincing story and an excuse, a reason. Well, how's this? Those people with all the money got that way because they were lucky. They were just fortunate. See, that's what they say. They're lucky, they're fortunate, so because they were lucky, we have the right to take it away from them and give it, redistribute to other people. That's the thing that gives them the excuse. You know you're going to get a government lesson today, right? See, after all, it's not like they actually went out there and worked for the money. They didn't sacrifice anything. They were just lucky. They were fortunate. All you're doing is just even out the odds a bit. Gee, wouldn't that be fair? So anyways, just thought you'd trying to get started with that. It just right in my mind here. Okay?
What's the author's name?
Neil Boritz. I tell you, one of the things the reason I want you to get this is because a lot of times people think, a lot of people have a lot of problems making money. A lot of you have problems with, because the media and the government is total class warfare, right? The liberal Democrats are telling you it's the rich against the poor, the blacks against the white, the women against the men, the old against the young. That's the whole process, how they operate, right? It's all fear-based, right? Completely. And we don't need that. It's not true. None of that. You're responsible yourself. You're an individual. You're not a group, right? All of you are individuals. I'm me, right? I happen to be of Mexican-American heritage. That's great, but that's not who I am. I'm me. I want to be judged on my own merit, not on a group, not because I'm part of some group, right? Even in Primerica, I don't want to be judged with a group of Primerica. I'm not like most people in Primerica. I'm different. I worked hard. I stayed focused. I got it done, right? I'm not like the average Primerican. Don't lump me with Primerica. I'm me. You're you. Start being an individual. Stop trying to be part of a group. Okay? Be yourself. Set yourself apart. Be better. Be different. Be great. Don't limit yourself because you're a woman, or because you're ethnic, or because you come from wrong side of the tracks, or because any of this stuff. Don't limit yourself. If you go and prove yourself, you get better, you can do anything and be anything you want to be. You don't want to let other people label you. That's BS. Okay? I'm me. You're you. You're an individual. You're not a group. That group ain't going to come bail you out when your butt's in a crack. Right? It's you and your abilities. See? Hey. Listen to this, right? Because you see this tax thing that's happening right now. I'll get off this in just a second, but you're here. You pay good money to be here, right? The top 1% of income earners in the United States earn about 14% of all the income, and they pay 30% of all the income tax collected. You know that?
That's correct.
Huh? I'll repeat that for those of you that think that the rich don't pay enough, okay? The top 1% of all income earners, which I'm part of, by the way, the United States earn 14% of all the income, but they pay 30% of all the taxes that are collected in the United States. So when they're going to do a tax cut, who should get the biggest tax cut? The people that pay the most. Wouldn't you agree? That just makes sense, right? But hey, if you talk to Dash, we'll forget about that, right? Are you believing this? The top 1% pays almost 30% of all income taxes paid in the country, and they earn only 14% of the income. Moving on, the top 10% of the income earners, and that's you, okay? That's you, the Zerks, and that's you, back there, Daniel, okay? And any of you that make $100,000 a year or more, that's even as a combined family, right? There's a few of you in here that do that, I bet, all right? The top 10% of the income earners earn a little more than 40% of all the income in the United States, but they pay nearly 70% of all the income taxes collected.
That's right.
Do you know that?
That's right.
The top 10%, they only earn 40% of all the income, but they pay 70% of all the taxes. Just a little amazing, aren't you? Just 10% of the income earners tend to pay 70%. But wait a minute. Maybe they sweetened their deal during the horrible Greenfield-Reagan years. The Robert Baron, sorry, it doesn't wash. At the beginning of 1983, when all of the nice Reagan tax cuts were taking place, the top 1% was paying just 20.3% of the taxes, and 10% was, and the top 10% was paying 49%. Now it's 30% and 70%. It's actually worse. The share of the income taxes the rich paid during the decade of greed actually went up. So, I don't want you to feel bad about making money and all that, okay? I want you to feel excited about that, okay? You gotta be pumped up. What's that?
Is there forward in that book by Rush Limbaugh?
No, there isn't, but he recommends reading his book, right? See? Conservatism, okay? People to think a little bit. Stretch break, let's take a stretch break. Why don't we just take a 10-minute break, let you guys get a little